guys, Christian here with Feel Good Gaming for another deck tech video. Today we're doing Atla Nest Tender. A few of these first decks are some that I might be breaking. I don't know yet, but they are just amazing decks that I love. I have tons of decks. I have over 40 decks, so I just wanted to put that out there just so you get some kind of idea of where my deck teching is coming from. This sleeve here, I already took out the Enlightened Tutor, just as a heads up. So that's why I put it there to remind me. There was an Enlightened Tutor, and you'll see why I would have it in here in just 1 second, because Atla Palani Nest Tender is a 2/3 human shaman for NAYA +1. That's red, green, white. You can pay 2 and tap it to create a 0/1 green egg creature. Whenever an egg I control dies, reveal cards from the top of my library until you reveal a creature. Put that card on the battlefield and the rest at the bottom. So you're basically chaos warping essentially every time you pay 2 mana, you create an egg, and when that egg dies, you're going to get something crazy. So let's show some cards. We're going to start off with some ramp. Sky Shroud Claim. Urban Utopia, just to get a turn 3 Atla. Not too bad. You get a card draw 2 on that one. Nature's Lore, same thing. This is one that you could hit from the top deck. Obviously, it gives other people mana. It gets the whole board double mana, but sometimes you just need it for these big bombs. 3 Visits. Cultivate. Mirari's Wake for double mana once again, of course. And then on to some card draw. Rishkar's Expertise. You're going to draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control, and you may cast a card with 5 mana or less from it. Like Soul's Majesty, you can cast that even. You draw cards equal to the number of power target creature you control. Alright, now we're going to move. This is either protection or removal. First one, Artifact Mutation for Gruul instant. Destroy target artifact. Can't be regenerated. And you get X11 Saprolings equal to that artifact's converted mana cost, which I actually really like. Corrosion Grip. Everybody knows this one. It's a split-second spell, so there's no reactions that could be made when you cast that spell. One of my favorites. Another one of my favorites here, I've been putting in almost every deck that has green. Return to Nature, 2 mana. You get an artifact enchantment or exile a card from a graveyard for that guy who's just, bringing Kakusho back a million times. Gary, I love this card. Broken Bond, it could be used as some ramp as well, if you want to use it as that early game just to get rid of anything available. You get an artifact or enchantment and then put a land on from your hand to the battlefield. Tribute to the Wild makes each opponent sax an artifact or enchantment. Really good. Druid's Deliverance is just for preventing combat damage, but you also populate. So you end up getting another egg token if you have one. And then Sundering Growth is either green or white twice for an instant that destroys an artifact or enchantment. And you populate as well to make some more egg tokens. Okay, now we're going to move on to some of the bombs in the deck. The exciting things that we want to rip off the top deck. This deck is a blast, I'm telling you. Just not knowing exactly what's what. Sometimes people even you know what? I'm gonna swing it at you with the egg. Just whatever you get, don't hit me with it. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, sure, of course, man, anything. Terastodon. I'm sure people know that one, right? 8 mana. When it enters, you destroy 3 non-creature permanents, and they get a 3/3 elephant for each one. Archetype of Endurance, one of the best ones, really. Gives all your creatures hexproof, including it. Galta. It's just a 12/12 trample. That's about it. Aggressive Mammoth, it's in here to give all my other creatures trample, which I like. Zatelpa, aka every keyword in Magic. Thragtusk. This one's not the greatest, but it's just a little bit of value. 5 life, you get a beast on the way out. Marisi, I really like for the goading. Your opponents can't cast spells during your combat is really huge too, actually. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, you go to each creature a player controls. So if you can get in on more than one player even, you're going to get more than one thing. Nyx Bloom Ancient, because why the hell not, right? Am I right? Oh, look at that. My last game must have had both of these guys out. That's no good for those guys. So this guy's triple mana, Nyx Bloom, just by the way, for people who don't know. You would tap for 3 times the mana. Vorinclex, whenever you tap land for mana, you add 1 more extra, and whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, that land does not untap. Yep, sorry guys. Ilharg the Raised Boar, when it attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield tapped and attacking, and it goes to your hand at the end step. Whenever it dies or exiled, you can put it through it from the top, which is pretty great too, because then you could possibly manipulate it to come out with an egg again. Goreclaw, it makes your creatures power 4, 2 or less, which all of them are for the most part. And whenever it attacks, each creature I control power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 in trample. So that's a great trample effect too. Similar to the Thunderfoot Bailiff. As lieutenant, as long as you control your commander, it gets +2/2, and as well as your other creature get +2/2 and trample. Good old Avacyn, because who doesn't want a top deck and Avacyn on the board? Am I right? Am I right? Yep. My friends don't like that one. Grothama, other creatures have whenever this creature attacks, you may have it fight Grothama. When Grothama leaves the battlefield, each player draw cards equal to the amount of damage dealt to them by their sources. So a lot of times, like, these two work great together right here. I'll attack with Avacyn and have it fight this thing. Kill it. It is indestructible, so it won't die. Avacyn won't die. Oh, never mind. This wouldn't die either. But you know what I mean. There's times I'll sacrifice my dudes to kill this, for sure. No doubt. No doubt. Or you could even have... Oh, never mind. I was going to say the egg with Defender, maybe. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Sometimes it's worth it to kill one or two of your guys if you're going to draw like 15 cards, you know. Elvish Norn, other creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. And Verdant Sun Avatar, just for some life gain, because you're obviously going to be a target once you start cracking some eggs. Alright, now we're just going to move on to some of the just regular cards in this deck. Like this one here is just some extra value. 4 mana enchantment. Pattern of Rebirth. You put this on one of your eggs, and then when it's put in the graveyard, that creature's controller may search for a creature card, put it into play. So you crack an egg with this thing on it, you're going to go straight into your deck, grab a creature, put it on the battlefield, and then top deck for another one. Come on. Nature Spiral. Return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Anointed Procession for double egg tokens. I have an egg here itself because why not? This is one of the best cards in the deck. Maskwood Nexus makes all my creatures every creature type, so it makes my whole board eggs. If you board wipe, I'm going to top deck and have the only board on the field. You can pay 3 and even make a Changeling, which is just amazing. Quicksilver Amulet, just for some instant speed stuff. You know, I was playing it cool the other day. Turn 4, Quicksilver Amulet. Turn 5, play a line, pass turn. And on the, you know, somebody was going to do like a board wipe or just something that I didn't like. I don't remember what it was exactly. You just tap this thing, drop down the Avacyn, and protect my board. Parallel Life, same thing as Anointed Procession, but in green. And it's going to give double eggs. Here's another egg with Defender. And you even get the bonus of when it's put in a graveyard, you get a 3/3 bird. So the egg dies, you top deck with Atla, and you also get a 3/3 Burg out of it. Summoner's Egg is my favorite egg for sure, because when it enters, it's a 4 mana egg. When it enters the battlefield, though, you imprint it, and you may put a card face down from your hand underneath it. And when this egg dies, you turn the imprinted card face up, and it goes in under play. So you're gonna play this. Put a creature from your hand underneath it. When this egg dies, that creature goes on the battlefield, and you're going to trigger Atla to top deck for one. Mael is here for another way to do some stuff like Atla. If Atla's out for some reason, you can pay 6 mana, tap it to look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can put a creature power 5 or greater from among them on the battlefield. I haven't got to use her too much, but I know she has to be amazing. Thornbite Staff is great because, for those who didn't notice here, she is a shaman, and it's a shaman equipment. So, equipped creature gets pay 2, and tap it. This creature deals 1 damage to target creature or player, and then whenever a creature is put in the graveyard from play, you untap the creature. Untap this creature. So, you play the Thornbite Staff, and then you play Atla. It's automatically going to equip, instead of paying the 4. You pay 2 with Atla to destroy an egg, and then that egg's going to die, trigger Atla, and untap Atla. If you have more mana, then you can just keep going. Rings of Brighthearth to copy Atla's ability to make an egg, or the top decking ability itself. Samut for the haste and to untap her. It's really... it's definitely the best haste enabler in the deck. And, I mean, in fact, you can untap it as haste itself. I mean, it's amazing, really. Here's another haste enabler, Urbrask the Hidden. It makes your other opponent's creatures enter the battlefield tapped, and yours get haste. Zerta the Dawn Waker, 3 mana elemental fox, and it makes your activations 2 less that aren't mana, but it can't reduce. It makes your activated abilities that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less activate, but it can't reduce it less than 1. So it would make Atla's ability cost 1, and then you could pay 1 and tap it to have target creature can't block this turn. That's not as much in there as just for this and other effects like Samut. And here's the last haste enabler with Rhythm of the Wild, which makes your creatures can't be countered, and then non-token creatures you control have Riot, which makes them either enter with haste or a +1/+1 counter. Usually, you're going to pick haste. Now, we are going to show two cards to manipulate your top deck here. Is going to be a Worldly Tutor in response. Like I said, the other card was an Enlightened Tutor. So you can Enlightened Tutor, say, for Nyx Bloom Ancient to the top. Off of, with the Atla trigger on the stack, you could, tap for an Enlightened Tutor, and then put Nyx Bloom on the top, and it'll trigger Atla, and you'll get the Nyx Bloom. Worldly Tutor is even better, though, because you can get any creature to the top to trigger with Atla. And then just a Scroll Rack. Just these two are the only two. No senseis. Obviously, put it if you got it. Scroll Rack, for those who don't know, it's 2 mana artifact. You pay 1, tap it, exile any number of cards from your hand, face down, put that many cards from the top of your library into your hand, then look at the exiled cards and put them on top in any order. Now, these are some sack outlets, okay? This one is not your traditional sack outlet, but it definitely hurts your other opponents. It's not going to hurt you because Atla's a 2/3. Whenever any creature comes into play, Aether Flash does deal 2 damage to it. It's not going to kill Atla. It's not going to kill any of your big creatures, but it is going to kill the eggs. So it's basically a sack outlet. I mean, you can't sack them at instant speed, but who cares? You're getting extra value by killing their stuff when they enter, and they can't play anything 2 or less. It's basically another Alice Norn and a sack outlet. It's amazing in this deck. Perilous Forays is 5 mana enchantment, lets you sack a creature by paying 1, but you also get to search for a basic land and put it on the battlefield tapped. So you're going to get a land on the battlefield, basic land tapped, and you're going to trigger Atla. Pretty good. Typical Ashnod's Altar here, with some of the tap effects that really works. Ashnod's Altar and the Thornbite Staff work well together, because you're going to... if you have 2 eggs, you're going to deal 1 damage to one, untap it, sack the other one, and that's how you pay to untap it kind of thing. It just goes well, obviously. Blasting Station, 3 mana artifact, sack a creature. Blasting Station does 1 damage to target creature or player. Whenever a creature comes into play, you may untap it. So that is also another way with Ashnod's, because you could tap it to deal 1 damage to the egg. Now, when the egg cracks and brings a new creature, it's going to untap Blasting Station. So you can crack another egg, essentially. So it's not like an Ashnod's, but still good. Evolutionary Leap, 2 mana enchantment. You can pay green, sack a creature, reveal cards from the top until you get a creature, and it goes to your hand. It's like Atla, but instead of the battlefield, it goes to your hand. Still really, really good. Now, let's move on to the lands really quick before we finish it off. As far as non-basics, we got Wooded Bastion, a filter land here. Corrosion Verge gets you a Plains and a Forest card. Filter Gruul, Reliquary Tower. Enters tapped unless you have a Forest or Plains. This is the Battle Bond Celestia land, a Temple Garden, Sacred Foundry, Stomping Ground, Canopy Vistas, 2 or more basic lands. Filter Moss Fire Valley. This one you have to reveal a forest or a plains. Evolving Wild, and then the rest are going to be basic. Those are the lands of the deck. Now we are going to get to the end of the deck with the win cons. First one here, Waves of Aggression, 5 mana. I don't know if people realize this thing went up to like $30 right now, though. So if you don't want to buy that, understandable. Untap all creatures that attack this turn. After the main phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. So you can untap all your creatures, get a second combat, and as Retrace, you can play it from your graveyard by discarding a land in additional to paying its mana cost. So you can cast it twice and hit your third even. Savalla's Stampede, 6 mana sorcery. Council's Dilemma, so it's a voting card. Starting with you, each player votes for wild or free. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you get a creature card with each wild vote. Put those creature cards on the battlefield, then shuffle the rest into your library. You may put a permanent card from your hand on the battlefield for each free vote. Most of the time, they're going to vote free, not thinking you have stuff in your hand. But either way, you're going to get crazy stuff in this deck. Crazy stuff. Lurking Predator. This is my favorite card in the deck, probably. 6 mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, reveal a top card. Let me repeat that. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, reveal a top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, you may put that card on the bottom of your library. Good old Genesis Wave. Green, 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 and X. You pay X into it to reveal the top X cards of your library. You can put any number of permanents that are X CMC or less on the battlefield, and the rest go in your graveyard. Good old Tooth and Nail. 7 mana, but most people cast it for the Entwine cost. If you cast it for 7, you search your library for up to 2 creatures, reveal them, and put them in your hand. Okay, if you pay the Entwine cost, is 9 mana, you're going to search for 2 creatures, put them in your hand. And then from your hand, you're going to put 2 creatures onto the battlefield. Which is, come on, awesome. And the MVP of this deck has to be Mirror Entity. Is a 1/1 shapeshifter for 3 mana changeling. You pay X. Until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types. But guess what? You could pay 0 into Mirror Entity's X to destroy your board, trigger Atla that many times. It is the best protection you could ever even imagine. Because, I mean, you get into some late game kind of thing, where I'm saying looking for win cons, there's a good chance you're going to hit Avacyn or just something so crazy like the Verdant Sun where you're just going to gain 40, 50 life. Even if they end up getting the board wipe too, it's just so amazing in this deck. And again, that is my deck tech of Atla Palani. I hope you all enjoyed the deck tech and have a great rest of your day. Take care.